So Doors is one of my favorite Roblox horror games of all time, but I have to set aside my bias and rate floor 1. So basically I'm going to be going over the important aspects of floor 1 and then giving an overall rating. Let's begin. To start off, you're in a nice little hotel that seems normal but suddenly turns quite ominous. Now you turn and see flickering lights, and with these lights, you find yourself encountering Rush, the monster that's based off of A60 from Rooms. Now you see, Rush is easy to avoid in the early game. However, once you get past door 90, the lights vanish and you have to listen closely to know when Rush shows up. Even then, you still find yourself getting murdered by shit like this. But now you traverse down the hotel halls, finding nothing but an array of doors. Then suddenly the same flickering lights go off, but you hear a different sound. A much deeper and darker kind of sound. Something that feels more menacing than Rush. You notice the presence get closer and closer. You quickly hide and get out of the closet, but you realize that the monster is coming back. Now of course the monster I'm talking about is Ambush, who is a more brain-dead version of Rush. On top of that, Ambush of course also has a chance to show up at least once in every playthrough, but you can get lucky and have a run where you never see him. Oh yeah, this motherfucker. Listen, Screech is the most annoying little shit indoors. He shows up when it's dark and he even randomly makes his little stupid sound when he's nowhere to be found. But hey, if you manage to find him, he leaves. But if you don't, he's gonna jump scare you. Anyways though, have you ever wondered what's the strongest human sense? In my opinion, I think every sense is important, but one of the most important ones is sight. Oh yeah, speaking of sight, we have... You come across an area that has purple light coming out of it. Now as you get closer, it piques your interest and you decide to walk in. And stupidly, you look at the light, seeing an amalgamation of eyes that damage you every time you take a look. Now after all that, you're told to stop with this little indicator on the screen. And of course Halt shows up, making you play red light, green light without actually stopping. Now if you mess up and get hit, he does a lot of damage. But if you do beat Halt's little game, you get to see the next door. However, there's a problem. You don't know what door you were just on, and there happens to be multiple doors. You try to backtrack and find out what number it was, but you find nothing as you see the number is slashed on the door. You decide to take a gamble and try out one of the doors, but unfortunately, you're met with Dupe, who tries to eat you. Now after that long list of enemies, we have some of the other miscellaneous monsters, which are these guys. And you might be wondering, why I'm not covering them. Well, my PC's ancient, and I don't have the space to make these videos longer. But if you want to know more, play the game yourself. You'll come across them eventually. Alright, now we move on to the co-main and main event. Firstly, we have Seek, the mini-boss kind of monster. He foreshadows his appearance with these slimy little eyeballs that appear until he actually does show up. And I mean, Seek pulls up twice in every playthrough, but I can't lie, he reminds me of this guy from Spooky's Mansion, who I assume he's based off of. Now Seek basically chases you through this hallway, and also through these rooms. The first time is really easy because nothing changes, but the second time is slightly harder because of the looping rooms. Now that we're done with Seek, we move on to the main event, Figure. Figure is seen as the main villain of Doors. He can't actually see, but he can hear you. However, Figure shows up on door 50 in this library. And if you take a quick look at his head, you can see that it looks very similar to a sandworm. Anyways, inside this library, you have to find books. And these books have a shape next to a number. And this helps you open the lock, as it gives you the exact combination. But at the same time, you have to avoid Figure. Now, after finding all the books, you put in the code and you leave. As you leave, you notice the next room has the shopkeeper Jeff, who sells these items. And these items do actually make the game a lot better. But I don't have time to talk about all of them, so here's a brief summary on what they do. But then we skip ahead a little, making our way to door 100, after avoiding the spike traps from Snare. Now at this door, you find the electrical room, and you walk right in. Then suddenly, Figure shows up, causing this cutscene. Now after running, you find yourself hiding inside a tight and small area, where you collect the electrical parts that allow you to beat the game. Now after collecting all of them, you go to the power box and you put them in, as this cutscene plays. you notice that now you have the ability to fix the power box. So that's exactly what you do. And afterwards, you're chased by Figure. And of course, you survive inside this elevator that takes you to floor 2. Okay, so as you can see, we're done with this basic recap, and in my opinion, Doors is pretty solid, but I have to fairly criticize the game either way. So from my point of view, I have to talk about the biggest issue in Floor 1. Now, I don't really like the replayability. After beating Floor 1, it's just, you don't have that drive to beat it again. I usually just play another game, or, I just play the other game modes in Doors, like Rooms, which is obviously inspired by Rooms. But Floor 1 is alright. It's missing something. Give us something more than just beating the game to come back. Maybe make the map a bit more random, some extra monsters, some more encounters, some puzzles, something to add to Doors. But to be fair to Doors, they have these modifiers that can make the game more engaging, which honestly they do. But I feel like Floor 1 needs more than this, as playing after a few runs just feels super boring. But overall, it's great. Like I said, one of my favorite Roblox horror games of all time, and it will definitely go down in history as one of the best on the platform. But let's quickly compare Doors to a game it inspired, Pressure. Pressure actually has a lot more things to do in their Floor 1. On top of that, they also change the map quite frequently and include more challenges and engaging entities. However, both games share a common enemy. That enemy is a reason to keep playing Floor 1. You see, after beating it numerous times, it feels like a chore to keep playing. And I'm not saying add a checkpoint, but I don't know. Only playing Floor 1 really does limit the actual enjoyment of the game. Like in Doors and Pressure, it feels like a task to get back to the ending. But I'm not saying it should be easy, but it shouldn't be super repetitive. I'd rather something that changes a lot. Maybe, give us multiple endings instead of just one. But overall, this is just my opinion, and you can feel free to disagree. But there's things in Pressure that obviously make them stand out. One of them is voice acting, another is the map changes, another is the puzzles, and of course the change in entities and actually making them better. But since Doors' story isn't as detailed and as refined and thought out, they don't have good voice acting, the map isn't really changing, and then on top of that, the entities are kind of getting bland because you've already experienced them multiple times. But let me stop yapping about this. Let's move on to the overall rating of Floor 1. So Floor 1's overall rating is 75 out of 110. Now I don't think Doors is scary, and I don't really react that much when it comes to horror games on Roblox, but I do have to say, Doors has excellent gameplay and is able to work with other ideas. And ultimately, it can assemble a very good game. But we have to remember, the game is still being worked on. It's still getting better and improvements are being made. But let me know, how do you feel about Floor 1? Tell me in the comments. I personally feel that Pressure's Floor 1 is a lot better than Doors' Floor 1 for now. But that doesn't mean that Doors can't bounce back, especially since Floor 2 is going to be coming out. But anyways, that ends today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one, and go watch these videos right here. Peace out.
Think of a big black man chasing you!